Red Bull's issues are now exposed in their entirety, and their rivals will look to take full advantage of them as we're heading into Silverstone. Verstappen warned Red Bull about this, but it now seems that the inevitable has indeed come knocking on the door in Milton Keynes, and if the current champions don't get their upgrades right, it might mean the end of their domination quite a ways away from the predicted time, which was 2026. When Max Verstappen warned that if he had to drive at 101% every time, it would go wrong one day, his prediction couldn't have been more accurate. He made this comment after qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix due to the intense effort required to extract maximum performance from the Red Bull RB20 under increasing pressure from his rivals. His words were eerily prophetic, as just 8 days later he was unquestionably driving at 101%, if not more, in his unsuccessful attempt to maintain the lead in the Austrian Grand Prix. This led to a collision with McLaren driver Lando Norris, exposing the cracks in Red Bull's performance that Verstappen had been covering up. After the race, Verstappen criticized the team's poor execution. It was on course for a comfortable victory until a slow pit stop, timed at 6.59 seconds, dropped him into Norris's reach. Verstappen was unhappy even before that, feeling his first stint was too long and caused him to lose time in traffic. The struggle to remove the left rear wheel during his final pit stop sent him out with Norris right behind, leading to a lockup as he pushed to stay ahead on his outlap, resulting in the ill-fated battle and a fifth-place finish. Verstappen wasn't blameless, as his overly aggressive defense caused a collision, and not surprisingly at all, Horner defended him, even though I believe both knew who was to blame here. Certainly, from Max's side, he's not going to change. There's an element, I think, of Lando learning how to race Max, and they're discovering that. Inevitably, there's going to be more close racing between the two of them, as the cars look so close over the forthcoming races. Max is a hard racer. He's probably one of the hardest racers in the circuit, and everybody knows that if you're going to race against Max, he's going to give as good as he gets. However, the end of the Austrian Grand Prix proved that the cracks in Red Bull's F1 supremacy had been papered over for some time. Despite this, it's not a disaster, as Verstappen is still on track to win the World Championship, having won 7 of the last 11 races, or 10 out of 14 if you include sprints. Red Bull has often prevailed by the skin of its teeth, saved by Verstappen's brilliance, and apart from Austria, Red Bull's consistently good trackside execution. However, the car no longer always has a pace advantage, and Red Bull is under serious pressure, with its star driver making a significant difference. It's easy to dismiss these concerns as hyperbole, since Red Bull and Verstappen are still winning frequently. McLaren team principal Andrea Stella argues that the one constant at the front, even when teams are closely matched, is Max Verstappen. Evidence from the last 6 races supports Stella's point. Norris won for McLaren in Miami with help from the safety car and Verstappen picking up damage. In Monaco, winning was beyond Verstappen due to the car's poor ride. Canada, Mercedes had the fastest car in dry conditions, and Norris lost the lead when McLaren missed the chance to bring him in under the safety car. Spain was a repeat of Imola, with Norris chasing down Verstappen in the final stint. In Austria, Norris could have won the sprint if he had covered the inside line at turn 4 after overtaking Verstappen, and Verstappen could have taken a straightforward victory in the Austrian Grand Prix. The fact is, Verstappen didn't win. What's worrying for Red Bull is that it could easily have been beaten in every single one of the last Grands Prix rather than winning half of them. The car is still very quick, but every ounce of performance needs to be extracted to win against increasingly stronger position. As Verstappen says, the key is feeling good in the car and working closely with the team to extract everything from it. This is desperately needed, especially with Sergio Perez's recent drop-off in form highlighting just how much more difficult things have become for Red Bull. While Red Bull is still in control, this run of races before the August break is crucial for understanding where the team really stands. Verstappen can be relied upon to leave nothing on the table, but this situation could paint a worrying picture for Red Bull, not just for the rest of this season, but even more importantly, for 2025. Red Bull advisor Dr. Helmut Marko has confirmed the team will bring upgrades to Silverstone as the Milton Keynes base squad looks to claw back lost ground. Marko feels the difference between the theory and reality of the RB20 is the root of the team's current issue, but is hopeful the update at the British Grand Prix will go some way to help re-establish its advantage. We've been struggling with these problems since China, and somewhere you get to a point when you don't know where they came from, the Austrian told Kleine Zeitung. Mercedes has struggled with this for a long time, and Aston Martin is struggling with it at the moment. But we weren't used to that before. We don't know where in the technology or the simulator the difference between theory and reality is. The car has potential, and until China, we were superior. We thought it would be an easy season, just boring for the spectators. But we are working on it, and there will be an update at Silverstone. It has to be right, because otherwise it will be difficult. Ferrari began the current season as the clear number 2 team behind the initially dominant RB20, but has since fallen back despite bringing comprehensive updates to Imola in the 7th round of the year. Meanwhile, McLaren has overtaken Ferrari in the pecking order and is undeniably the strongest car behind Red Bull. To some, including Marko, the MCL38 is now the chassis to beat. With Mercedes also appearing to be ahead of the Italian team, Marko quickly highlights the advantages of a revolving order of performance among those battling Red Bull. The balance of power behind us has changed so far. Ferrari was once the strongest chaser, now it's McLaren, and Mercedes is coming back into the mix. The 81-year-old contended. But McLaren in particular has made up a lot of ground and has a better car than we have, especially in terms of setup. Their car works on every track and with every type of tyre. We have had problems in the last few races, and it has taken us a long time to find the balance. Right now, in terms of speed, we are number 2. So, how long can Verstappen's brilliance keep Red Bull on top? Well, Verstappen is in a strong position in the Drivers' Championship, and Red Bull is in control of the Constructors' battle. However, no matter how brilliant Verstappen is, he cannot change the laws of physics, which determine how quick the car is. If other teams are able to make further gains, he will face a disadvantage that is impossible to overcome, hence his 101% comments. This is why he's calling on Red Bull to make progress with the car. But don't underestimate Red Bull. When Christian Horner was asked in Austria if he still had the fastest car, he responded that he still has the best team in F1, emphasizing the combination of car, drivers, engineers, strategists, and everyone behind the scenes. Austria aside, he has a point, but as the chasing pack closes in, that only gets you so far. While this still gives Red Bull an edge when it has a pace advantage or even parity, if it falls behind as the development war continues, that won't be enough. Verstappen knows this, which is why he's pushing for improvements. Mercedes knows it too, which is why Toto Wolff continues to talk about the possibility of Verstappen joining them. Most of all, Red Bull knows it. If Red Bull is outdeveloped by rivals, it will not only struggle to maintain its current success rate, but also make the talk of Verstappen leaving by 2026 more realistic. The Austrian Grand Prix, with Red Bull making unusual mistakes and Verstappen proving to be the architect of his own downfall, showed that he can't keep papering over the cracks indefinitely. Do you think Red Bull will stay on top until the end of the season? Let us know down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.